Hello there. Welcome into a Monday edition of the show. So glad to have you, whether you're listening on your radio, streaming the show online at extrasports1300.com, or you've downloaded the Extra Sports 1300 app to do your listening. And that app is sponsored by Diversus Health, mental health and well-being for all. A veritable cornucopia of sports topics await you. Really a great sports weekend, no? The sporting events themselves, but also some of the news that has come out over the weekend. We thought this was going to be the slow time of year, or at least I did. Not so much. Love to get your thoughts on this Monday, 719-247-1313. You could call or text it in, also available via X at Gingerly Tweets. Let me actually start with one of the big news items over the weekend, because I think there's a local component to this. This first big trade of the NBA offseason, an NBA offseason that we have been told by people in the know is going to be pretty epic. And the first big trade didn't really disappoint. Now, is Desmond Bane a household name? Is he one of the biggest stars in the NBA? Is he Giannis? Is he KD? Absolutely not. But I think the move has significance for the team that's acquiring him. And I think that the return Memphis got for him is maybe the bigger story. So if you did not see it, the Magic get Desmond Bane. The Grizzlies get Cole Anthony, our old friend Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 4 first-round picks, and a pick swap in the year 2029. So mark your calendars for that. Grizzlies can swap the Magic if the Magic's pick is better. That's a lot. That's a lot for a player who I said is not Giannis and is not Kevin Durant. What this reminded me of, though, was the Rudy Gobert trade. Remember when Tim Connolly did that? And the pearl clutching that went on? How in the world can you give up all of that draft capital for merely Rudy Gobert? How are we feeling about that trade now? Timberwolves have been knocking on the door of the NBA Finals the last 2 years with Gobert. I haven't heard anyone in Minnesota complain about the draft picks they don't have anymore. So I think that trade worked out. And I think this one has the ability to for Orlando. And this was a team I was high on this past season. And now they have a chance to get a player in Desmond Bane, the type of player that I think in some ways they thought Kentavious Caldwell-Pope would be. More on that in a moment. With a young core that's ready to go with Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, that whole group down there in Orlando. In an Eastern Conference that's in a little bit of a state of flux. Of course, the Pacers play tonight in a pivotal game of the NBA Finals. But you have Boston that's probably going to move a piece, maybe 2. New York and Cleveland might be shuffling the deck a little bit. Milwaukee with Damian Lillard being out for almost the entirety of the year, if not the entirety of the year. Giannis not looking like he's moving. But it's an Eastern Conference that if you're ready to strike, you may be able to make something of it. So I give a lot of credit to Orlando for going for this and not just waiting, because they could sit there and say, hey, we'll run it back for the very same reasons that I just brought up. Knicks are in disarray. They don't have a coach. Cleveland got bounced early. Boston's going to be looking to move pieces. So Orlando could sit there and say, we like what we have. And we'll just see how many of these teams fall off. No, they didn't do that. They went for it by getting a quality player in Desmond Bane. And if Orlando becomes the Eastern Conference version of the Minnesota Timberwolves, we'll quickly forget, or we won't care as much. I don't think we've ever forgotten what Rudy Gobert went for, but it won't matter as much. This team's ready to win now, and they haven't won anything, so they got to go for it. They're in the F them picks range, right? Go get a player that can help you win now. So, and I'm not pretending that I wasn't shocked by the return. I was. But after I thought about it a little bit, I'm like, good for Orlando. But what's interesting about this trade and where the local tie-in comes in, Brian Windhorst went on ESPN and reported that it wasn't just Desmond Bane that got 4 first-round picks in return. Okay, that wasn't the asking price for Desmond Bane. That was the asking price for Desmond Bane plus making Memphis take on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Orlando had to essentially send, let's just say, one of those first-round picks. I don't know how many, but it had to give Memphis more to take on the contract of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And now we have the second player from the Nuggets championship team that used that to cash in on a big deal, and their teams have almost immediately regretted it. Or at least immediately looked to move on from them to get something better. Right? With the Indiana Pacers, they signed Bruce Brown, and then what they do? They move Bruce Brown to get Pascal Siakam. Not straight up, mind you. He was more to make the money work. He wasn't the prize piece in that deal. So they moved on from Bruce Brown quickly, and now you have Orlando, after just 1 year, moving off of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Josh Kroenke had said at the end of his the end of the season press conference that the pitch that they make to veteran free agents is playing with Nikola Jokic will get you paid. And the last couple of years have shown you that he's right. And we're going to probably see it again with Russell Westbrook. He's going to make more, I don't know where, maybe in Tel Aviv, but somebody's going to pay Russell Westbrook more than he was set to make with the Denver Nuggets. But there is starting to become a bit of a caveat emptor situation going on. Little bit of buyer beware. You see what these guys can do when they're playing with Nikola Jokic, and you think they're going to be that for you. And now we have still a relatively small sample size, but a sample size of players that aren't close to what the buying teams expect to be getting. Which is not good news if the Nuggets are actually trying to move Michael Porter and Jamal Murray. In fact, I think we've already seen it. There were already reports that the Nuggets tried to move Jamal Murray before they gave him the extension. Could some of this have played into, along with obviously the fact that you would have to turn around and pay Jamal Murray more money than Bruce Brown or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope? But could there be a little bit of hesitancy from another team that maybe looks at Jamal Murray and says, man, he's kind of exactly what we need. but we don't have Nikola Jokic. I 100% believe that that's probably why they couldn't move Jamal Murray, or at least part of the reason. And so it makes the Nuggets' job a little bit harder, and it may get more difficult moving forward if they want to move some of their players. Because I think there's going to be this Nikola Jokic effect that other teams look at and say, what you're asking for is not fair because you're basing your asking price on the production they have playing next to Nikola Jokic, and we don't have a Nikola Jokic. They're not going to be that, what they are with you, with us. And that makes it more difficult. And also figuring out what that is. Right? Especially for players like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter, they know nothing but playing with Nikola Jokic. How are you supposed, at least with Pope and Bruce Brown, they existed before they got to Denver. With a Porter and a Murray, it's like, how do you figure out what they would be with playing alongside somebody not named Nikola Jokic? But if you are a veteran, but look, Russell Westbrook, if we look at it through the lens of a Pope, a Brown, a Russell Westbrook, which is a different scale, I think, than, Jamal Murray. I think the Nuggets can do more of this. I think they will continue to do this. The issue is they don't have the flexibility to bring in a lot of these guys. There may be guys out there that want to play with Nikola Jokic because they've seen what happens. I'm going to get paid. And then they go to the Denver Nuggets, and the Nuggets are like, we can only offer you a little bit more than a rookie contract because of the financial restrictions that are in place. So there's the reality for the Denver Nuggets, setting aside, say they don't want to trade Porter or Murray. Just to acquire veteran players, they only have Russell Westbrook's one spot. That's all they have. They took another spot similar to that and put Dario Saric in it. So it's like the Nuggets should be this place, and they understand that they're a place that second-tier veterans would like to go play for. But because they have made some poor decisions along the way, they can't just open up their arms and say anybody that wants to join us can. Because essentially the Nuggets have fallen victim to this very phenomenon themselves. They paid Jamal Murray and Michael Porter based on how those two players looked with Nikola Jokic, which got them a championship, right? But now, because they're leaving a little something to be desired, that they're not still ascending anymore, or they're not matching maybe what they were, especially Jamal Murray, what he was during that championship run. Now it feels like they're a little bit stuck with these guys. And with the financial rules in place, they can't work around them at all. So there's one challenge in the immediate future, which is how do you bring in these veterans that should want to play for the Denver Nuggets, given all the money you already have spent? But then there's the challenge moving forward, which is the Nuggets, I think, breaking this cycle, right? Understanding that they can't fall victim to the same thing that maybe Indiana and Orlando have, which is overvaluing the players that play with Nikola Jokic. And there's a line here, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and say that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope would have been what he was with Orlando with Denver. No. I think he would have been the player he was in Denver if he would have stayed. So it's not that you don't want to keep anybody that plays with Nikola Jokic. It's just that where's the line to where you say, okay, is this becoming an overpay? And I'll give you a perfect example. Christian Brown. Christian Brown is the next Nugget due to get paid. Do you just want them to play Christian Brown? With all the conversation we're having now about how stuck the Denver Nuggets are, you want to give $30 million to Christian Brown? 5, 10, 15, maybe even a little bit higher than that. Sure. But 30? Essentially turning around and giving him the money that Michael Porter makes? Because Porter's going to be a free agent shortly thereafter? I'll say this. At the current moment in time, I wouldn't. I would not do that. Because if the Nuggets have this ability to get veteran players paid, which is a big goal of many players in the NBA to get paid, they should keep as much flexibility as they can. Obviously, there's an outlier circumstance of, hey, if Luka doesn't re-sign in LA, or if somehow they can get in on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, that's a different story. Because those are guys, again, with proven track records of being superstars elsewhere. The way I would look at it is the same way the Denver Broncos looked at it when they had Peyton Manning. Different sports, a little apples and oranges, but just the thought process of what did they do? John Elway, when he brought in Peyton Manning, spent far more money, invested far more on the defensive side of the ball. Because he said Peyton Manning can't impact that side of the ball like he can the offense. And that's how that Super Bowl 50 defense was built. They spent on DeMarcus Ware and Aqib Talib and TJ Ward, and the list goes on. The Nuggets should be looking at it that way. If there are guys on the team that the best part of them is the things that Nikola Jokic directly impacts, maybe you don't back up the Brinks truck. Maybe you look to find guys that can do things that aren't as impacted by Nikola Jokic. I'll throw in the extreme example of a Luka or KD. They can create their own shots. They don't need a Nikola Jokic. They've been prolific scorers in this league without playing anybody even close to Nikola Jokic. Although Kevin Durant did play on those Warriors teams. So he got a lot of open looks. But my point is, defense and ability to create their own shot should be skill sets that are more valued by the Denver Nuggets. And then if they play with Jokic, then they'll have even easier shots. But I think it's just a mindset of not getting duped into thinking that because a guy plays a certain way with Nikola Jokic, that he's that player. And certainly other NBA teams have figured that, I don't know if they've figured it out, but a couple of teams have been burned by this. And now Orlando's given up 4 first-round picks to try and get a player that they can be a little bit more confident in, can be the player they need without Nikola Jokic. But the Nuggets moving forward, especially with these financial restrictions, need to have that mindset themselves. And this is all about falling in love with a player. Don't be so quick to fall in love with a guy because of how he looks playing with Nikola Jokic. Bring in veterans on cheaper deals. to play with Jokic and then let him go on their way, like Russell Westbrook. I know it was on Russell Westbrook's idea to opt out. He had that power, but that's what I'm saying. Say goodbye to Russell Westbrook. Gone. Okay, fine. You don't want to play for $3.4 million? Go somewhere else. Because he's not going to be the player that he was this year. Wherever he ends up, he's not going to be. I promise you. The Nuggets should utilize this a little bit more. You only have a player like Nikola Jokic for so long. You should have a team where you can welcome in a lot of these veteran players. The problem is they don't because of the decisions that they have made in the past. And I don't want to completely rake them over the coals because some of this problem that they find themselves in has been created by the new financial rules. But once they figure it out and once they can shed some of this salary and open up some flexibility, then they should not be quick to just turn around and give that space to one guy like a Christian Brown. Take your thoughts on the Desmond Bane trade and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. 719-247-1313. Coming up next, think not only has there been a valuable lesson taught, I think, to sports fans with J.J. Spawn winning the U.S. Open, but I think you can extend it out, especially when you look at the NBA Finals and some of the other sporting events that were maybe a little too quick to care only about how big the names are in that competition. I'll talk about that next here on Extra Sports 1300. City Golf COS is Colorado Springs' premier indoor golfing destination with 4 state-of-the-art simulators featuring any course in the world you've dreamt of playing. My buddy was there last night and played Pebble. Had a blast. You could try out City Golf COS with our extra sweet deal of the week, an hour of play for half price. Get yours today at extrasports1300.com. One place that I don't think I'll ever want to try, even in a simulation, is Oakmont. That course was unbelievable. And I say that having watched a lot of U.S. Opens, right? And I know how the USGA rolls. That every year I'm stunned by how difficult they can make the course, and Oakmont may have taken the cake. But I think yesterday serves as a good lesson, I think, for sports fans. And I'll relate this to the NBA Finals as well. You know, we get so caught up in ratings, right? Are people going, oh, people aren't going to watch now? And there was a little bit of that this weekend with the U.S. Open because so many of the big names were not in contention. Right? From that standpoint, it lacks some juice because the guys going into Sunday that you thought had a chance aren't stars. Right? And we had this discussion with the NBA Finals. Oh, it's OKC, it's Indiana. Nobody's going to watch. And to be fair, the ratings suggest that not a lot of people are tuning in, at least compared to other years. There are people that are being turned off by the fact that it's not Boston, LA, LeBron, Steph. And that's unfortunate because if you are watching the NBA Finals, you will know that this has been a phenomenal series. The theater of the NBA Finals as good as any series we've had in the last few years. I'll tell you this. I mean, we all loved watching the Denver Nuggets win a title. This has been a way more fun watch than the Nuggets Heat series. If you were just, you know, an innocent bystander, so to speak, if you didn't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak, right? The Nuggets dusted off Miami quickly. That was not a compelling series at all. This has been a great series. And if you are a true lover of the sport, I don't know how you can't watch OKC in Indiana and love what you're watching, regardless of what cities this series is taking place in. Now, use that for yesterday. A lot of people did probably tune out. But what they missed out on was one of the most insane finishes to a golf tournament I have ever seen. I had never heard of J.J. Spawn before this weekend. Never heard of him in my life. But what he did the last 2 holes of that tournament yesterday and that putt, I mean, how does it get better than that? I mean, he could have 2-putted, but he didn't. He could have 2-putted and won the tournament, but he didn't. He sunk it. I mean, it was maybe not the player that, with all due respect, nobody has anything against J.J. Spawn, but would you like to have seen Bryson DeChambeau make that putt or Rory McIlroy? Yeah, sure, in some way. But it was still a phenomenal finish to the tournament. It was an amazing putt. So if we get caught up, and I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you, because especially with golf, I fall victim to this. I mean, I enjoy the sport of golf. I enjoy watching. But if the big names are in it, my excitement level to watch goes down quite a bit. With hockey, with basketball, football, not as much. I'll still tune in. But with golf, it's difficult. In some ways, I had to make myself watch golf yesterday. And I'm so glad I did. Do you love the sport? Or are you just a fan of the stars? Either way is fine. But if you're only a fan of star athletes, you're going to miss out on some really compelling sporting events. Now, I'll still say I don't love what the USGA does with these courses. I don't. I do still, and maybe that's why the finish from JJ Spawn was so great, because he made great golf shots to win the tournament. And that's what I want to see. I don't want to see players just crawling across the finish line. And it's why the US Open is not, to me, preferred over a lot of other over the other golf majors, because I do want to see great golfers, even if their names are JJ Spawn, make great shots to win tournaments. So I didn't love the fact that it was just destroying so many golfers, and there was such a lack of great golf being played. But we got it on the last two holes with JJ Spawn. And maybe even in some way, the fact that that tournament went the way it did made the finish even greater. I mean, it's 4-foot putt on any course, no matter what the scores are, would be amazing. But maybe there was a little something more to it because of how difficult that course had been. But my big takeaway is, hey, if I love a sport, I just want to see it played at its highest level. By LeBron James, by Nikola Jokic, or by Tyrese Halliburton. By Bryson DeChambeau, by Rory McIlroy, or by JJ Spawn. And with the NBA Finals and with this US Open, maybe it's not the winners that we want or that we have investment in, that we have knowledge of. But if you just sit and watch, you're in for a treat. Glad I stuck with it, because I was ready to be out, honestly. Take your thoughts on the proceedings at Oakmont this weekend. 719-247-1313. I'll tell you this much. I've never made a putt that long. And that's what I watch the PGA Tour for. That's what I'm going out to the Broadmoor in a couple weeks. I want to watch golfers do things that I couldn't even possibly dream of doing myself. Yeah, I did not sit there on Sunday watching JJ Spawn those last two holes and be like, I could have hit that. I could have hit that. Nope. I have a little bit more self-awareness than that. 719-247-1313. More Drive Time Sports after this. The 45th U.S. Senior Open returning to the Broadmoor for a record-tying third time, June 26th through the 29th. We are just, less than 2 weeks away? Math is hard for me. Get off my back about it. Get your tickets to see the legends of the game compete in our own backyard at ussenioropen.com. So much going on in the sports world this weekend, and I was watching the golf yesterday. I would have very much liked to have either the Stanley Cup final or the NBA final. I mean, it is my day. Shouldn't they put on television what I want to see? And it would have fit perfectly, right? U.S. Open got done about 6, bottom of the hour. Let's get some hockey or basketball on the television. But no such luck. We got NBA Finals tonight, Stanley Cup Final tomorrow. I want to talk about both of those series coming up after the top of the hour. Here was something else that I did this weekend with my sons, and I have a platform where I can ask a question and get lots of input. So one of the things the boys and I did this weekend was we went and saw the last Mission Impossible movie, which, by the way, it's going to be the whole point of this segment. Phenomenal. And even my kids, after I told them what I thought about it, were floored because they know me about as well as you do. And I have a little bit of a reputation of not liking everything. I know, shocking. I am a notorious low grader when it comes to movies. I don't know why my standards got so high. I don't know what I watched when I was younger that I expect everything to be Citizen Kane. But even movies that I like, we usually scale them on 1 to 10. Usually the best movies I see get like a 7. It's just the way I'm wired. I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody. In fact, I think it's one of the things that's keeping me from being truly happy in my life. But I don't give out high marks very often. The new Mission Impossible was a 10. It was a 10. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I was thinking about this. Did any one of those movies miss? Did any Mission Impossible movie miss? I don't think a single one did. How many of those did Tom Cruise make? Like 10? All of them were great. Now, there are ones that are better than others. Certainly, and I'll still hold up. The first one is probably all in all the best of the series. I think why this one got high marks is it's just the payoff at the end of it all, right? You followed Ethan Hunt through all of these movies, and now you get kind of the culmination of it all, and did a really good job of kind of hearkening back to some of the previous things and previous movies and stuff. It was great. I loved it. But then we got into a bigger conversation. How many movie series are there, movie franchises, where not a single one of them missed? Because we always talk about, like, Rocky is a great example. Rocky is terrific until Rocky 5. And then it got really good again with the newer ones. But Rocky 5 was terrible. And you think of, Godfather was a trilogy. We opened it up more than 3. And you're thinking of some of them. Fast and Furious, like half of those movies are straight garbage. just straight garbage. Tokyo Drift, like, are you kidding me? Now, I'm a bigger fan of Fast and Furious than most people, and still, like, half of those movies are terrible. So I thought of 3. And I love your input at 719-247-1313. So I said Mission Impossible. Liked every single one of them. I would say, and I haven't seen the new one, although I have a hard time believing that I will not enjoy my time watching the new John Wick installment. But I have not seen it yet. Every John Wick movie is good. So depending on what I think of Ballerina, and again, I cannot stress this enough, that I think I will enjoy watching it. John Wick, and then if you just take the Avengers, not the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, because there are a ton of misses in that, just the movies that are labeled Avengers. So the first one, in Age of Ultron, both Endgame and Infinity War were phenomenal. I don't count Civil War as an Avengers movie, but I could, if I threw it in, I would still say that the Avengers didn't miss. Now, a lot of the offshoots did. Like Thor, there was like one maybe good Thor movie, just Thor. Guardians was 3, so they don't count. If they made a 4th one and it was good, they would count. That's what I came up with. Mission Impossible, Avengers, John Wick. Rocky had Rocky 5. Other than that, spectacular. And the boys were naming a bunch of ones that I don't think I even liked one movie out of. Take your thoughts on that. 719-247-1313. Just curious. What movie franchise did you like all the way through? Because it's rare. So tip of the cap to Tommy C for putting out another good one. Want to go back to the U.S. Open, another aspect of it. It was cool that JJ Spawn, well, not cool because he's got kind of a big job ahead of him, but he was like he had to run to CVS over the weekend. Did you see this? He had to go to CVS because one of his kids was sick. Now that's relatable. I can't relate with the shot he hit on 17 or the putt he made on 18, but I can relate with having to run out in the middle of the night to the pharmacy before I'm supposed to play golf the next day. And I will tell you from personal experience, it ruins me. So it just adds to the legend of JJ Spawn that he was able to make a late night run to CVS and have a sick kid. Because you know this if you're a parent. Like, you don't just set it and forget it. If you go out to the pharmacy and you get the medicine, that's fine. And that's part of the job, right? And there's nothing you can do. Like, you just let the medicine do its work. But that kid is going to stay on your mind until they are fully healthy again. So you don't just give them the medicine and say, okay, I got to go. You're wondering how they're feeling. You're worried that maybe the medicine's not going to work or they'll get worse. That's relatable. Not going out and then doing what JJ Spawn did, but taking care of a sick kid and then going and golfing the next day. There's another, and then on Father's Day, it's like, come on. That's awesome. The other thing that happened this weekend that was really cool, and I had no idea because, as I always say, they never tell me anything. I love them to death. Switchbacks never tell me anything. So Switchbacks play on Saturday. Marco Micheletto with an absolute banger of a goal. Switchbacks win. Huge win at home. Talking to sporting director Stephen Hogan, as we normally do after our home game broadcast on the postgame show. Marco Micheletto did some kind of celebration, like some kind of baby celebration. I was like, okay, what, dudes being dudes. Just kind of didn't think anything of it. Hoagie tells me Marco's going to be a dad. That was the reason for the celebration. Day before Father's Day. He's going to be a dad. He's got a kid on the way, and he scores a phenomenal goal. Like, that's to take that saying from Brad Pitt from Moneyball in using it across the board. How can you not be romantic about sports? That was really cool. Wish I would have known in the moment. I would have had something wittier to say during the broadcast, but that was cool. (719) 247-1313. Here's our first entry. Jason says Matrix. All bangers. Even the new one? Like, I'm not. The new one. Like, I know people didn't like Revolutions. Was that the last one? I don't think people love that one as much. I like that one. But the new one with like younger, better looking Lawrence Fishburne. I have to think about that. If I truly like that one. But the original, the trilogy, yeah, of course. Phenomenal. First one, I think that's also why it's important to get a really good first one, because like the Matrix just like totally altered my mind to the point that like I loved so much that for weeks after that, I was questioning my entire reality. Like then you go in and it's like they really have you at that point. Right? If a movie stays with you and a movie does that to you, then I don't know that they have to be as great with the next installments because you're just so in love with the first one. Matrix, I don't think it was necessarily that for me. I thought they were all three. The fourth one I got to think about, but it's up there. Albert says The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. Did not see the desolation of Smog. So I can't speak to that. Lord of the Rings, definitely. But again, that's a trilogy. So that's why he's throwing in The Hobbit. Did not see the Hobbit movies. There's two, right? Yeah. So I put up Mission Impossible, all bangers. John Wick. And the Avengers movies. And we got Jason with Matrix and Albert with The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. We'll keep it going. Yeah, we got sports going on, but we can do both. 719-247-1313. We're going to talk about sports next because I can't help but feel like the two underdogs in our respective championship finals kind of blew it over the weekend. Welcome into the show. Glad to have you. Glad to have those of you tuning in on our social media platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. The handle all the same, at XTRA Sports 1300. Talking a lot of sports, but also mixing in a little bit of other stuff, a little cinema into the mix. Our question of the day, not unofficially, but I just brought it up. Saw the last Mission Impossible movie over the weekend. It was a banger in a long line of bangers by Tom Cruise, and that is one of the few movie franchises that I can recall that I was not disappointed in a single one of them. Avengers, John Wick, and Mission Impossible. Albert added the Hobbit / Lord of the Rings saga, and Jason threw in the Matrix. Rules are it's got to be at least 4 movies. There's one that I think my son was going to say. My son said Star Wars, and I said, "Wait a minute. What about the sequels? What about the newer ones?" And he said, "Those are dead to me. No, doesn't count. You can't just say up until a certain point, you got to include them all." So for him, and he's a big Star Wars fan, but he does not Rey, Kylo, the whole, no, not down with that. But I'll take your thoughts on that. We'll weave it in. We'll weave it in throughout the course of the program. I do want to talk about what we're seeing in both the NBA and Stanley Cup final. Well, Stanley Cup final, NBA finals, they should really get on the same page. Is it plural or should it not be? It should not be, by the way. But it's the NBA finals and the Stanley Cup final. And I can't help but feel like the two perceived underdogs in these series, Indiana and Edmonton, kind of blew it over the weekend. Both had a chance to take control of this series in their own way and move to the cusp of winning a championship. Both at home, neither able to get the job done. For Indiana, they were leading, by 4, I think, late in that game, couldn't hang on. And then you had the move to Calvin Pickard just did not work for Edmonton. But I think the thing with the Oilers, right alongside of the goaltending situation, is just how do you look essentially the same way you did in the previous game? Which was kind of the same as the game before that. Like, here's what I mean by that. So, game 4, Edmonton comes out flat. Stuart Skinner gets lit up. Chris Knobloch makes the move, the absolute right move, pulls Skinner for Pickard. Lights a spark under the Oilers. They come back from a 3-goal deficit. They win the game. And now they're going back home. And they were as flat as could be. How does that happen? You have a chance to take this series. Well, to be on the cusp of taking this series, and you come out like that? Because that's the thing. You can't go back. There's no going back. I know Knobloch is saying, I'm not telling you who I'm starting. I don't know, or I don't know yet, or whatever. Like, you can't go back to Skinner. You can't. And I said it after you pulled him to start the second period of the last game. Once you make that move, you got to stick with Calvin Pickard. And he wasn't better. But as Knobloch correctly pointed out, a lot of those goals he gave up were not on him. But you're Edmonton. You get that win, emotional high, and you go back to your own barn and you do that? You do that on Saturday? And for Indiana, we know the stakes. Even though the Pacers didn't technically need to win because now the series is 2-2, there was still a feeling of Indiana's got to get that one. They have a chance to go up 3-1. You got to take it. You're on your home court. You were leading late in the game. So I kind of feel like both of these teams kind of blew it. But then I thought about it a little bit more. I reflected on it. I meditated about it. Isn't it just this is Florida and this is OKC? I mean, for the basketball, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the best player in this series, the MVP of the league, being the MVP down the stretch. I mean, is that really Indiana blowing it? Or is that Shai being the best player in this series and being the MVP? And then with the hockey, it's like this goaltender stuff. It's like that's kind of who Edmonton has been, but also, like, could it be that even though Pickard and Skinner had performed so well throughout the playoffs, that they just are running into a team that they can't get around? Right? That what Pickard and what Skinner are good enough to get to a certain point, but this is a Florida Panthers. This is a blossoming dynasty. This is a team that is as built for playoff hockey as any team I can recall in recent memory. They're just everything that you equate to playoff hockey. The Florida Panthers are about that, top to bottom. With Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett and Sam Reinhart, and now you add Brad Marchand to the mix. Like, they're so certainly opportunities that Indiana and Edmonton could not take advantage of. But I also look at the team on the other side and say, I don't know that I should be that surprised. I did think Florida and Oklahoma City would win the series. I did say, especially in Indiana's case, they're going to have to lift that damn trophy for me to truly believe that they have a shot to win it. I'm not counting out Oklahoma City. And again, Florida, I look at them and I just say they're more built for this than Edmonton is. So did they blow it in some way? They did, given that they were on their home floor or home ice or home floor, as it were. And the opportunity was there for them, an opportunity they earned, by the way. Credit to them for being in that position. But that's why we play 7-game series. And that's why it's a superior form of playoff to this one-and-done stuff we do in the NFL and March Madness. I mean, they have their place, and we love those playoffs, but the best form of postseason is when you have these 7-game series, because at the end of it, it's very rare where you look and say the best team didn't win. And now we have it flipped where even though the NBA Finals is 2-2, I mean, they're gassing up the floats or whatever for the parade in Oklahoma City. We're back to people feeling like OKC might wrap this thing up in the next couple of games, which I'm not going to say that they will. We could be going 7. And then with Florida, it's like, how many times do you have to watch a similar story play out before you just go, oh, Edmonton's great, but they're just not a good match for Florida. And all this goaltender stuff or Edmonton seeming to come out flat. It's like, well, how much of it is just the opponent? Because in retrospect, you think even as well as Skinner and Pickard have played, there's some part of you that goes, were they really going to win a Stanley Cup with those two guys? With that unsettled of a goaltending room, were they really going to do it? And can't say that I didn't entertain the thought at certain points. But again, 7-game series, you look back and you're like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. I hope we get more of it. I mean, unless you have a rooting interest in one team or another, I mean, the ride has been phenomenal. I don't care if Edmonton or Florida win. I'm just enjoying watching it. Same with Indiana and Oklahoma City. I hope they both go 7. But perhaps the better teams, the teams that we knew were better all along, are here as we get closer to the end, doing what they do and say, nope, this is our series. The stuff that happened before, that's all well and good and credit to you, but we're the better teams. We're taking this thing now. Kind of feel like maybe that was more the case with these last 2 games over the weekend than Indiana and Edmonton. Well, they really screwed up. I don't know if they did. 719-247-1313. Game 5 of the NBA Finals is tonight. I mean, certainly you would have to say Indiana's got to win tonight if they want any shot of winning the series. I wouldn't put past them. But I think we're going to get to the result we all thought, whether it's 6 or whether it's 7. Indiana has already far exceeded expectations. But yeah, whether the series goes 6 or 7, they're not winning if they don't win tonight. And then Florida on deck with a chance to go back-to-back tomorrow. Take your thoughts, 719-247-1313. We'll stick with hockey coming up next because the first 6 players for each Olympic hockey team have been announced. Plenty of Avs, including a guy that if I would have told you a year ago was going to play in the Olympics, you would have said, no way. Welcome back to the show. We have more entries into our unofficial question of the day. Which movie franchise did not miss at any point? I have 3. I have Mission Impossible. Saw the last one this weekend. Liked them all. John Wick, haven't seen Ballerina, but the other previous installments in the series, love them all. So we'll see what happens with Ballerina. And then I said Avengers, if you just take the original, Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame. Now, here's the thing. They got the new one coming out maybe when I'm like 70 years old. It keeps getting pushed back or whatever. We'll see. That could be in peril. Depends on how many characters they kill off between now and then. We got a couple new ones in. Kristen Fountain says Die Hard. That's interesting. Die Hard, I think for most people, the newer ones, and I think of when on The Office, when Michael Scott is talking to the like college students at the telemarketing place, and he talks about how like in the original Die Hard, he's just a cop and he's walking on glass. And then by the end, he's like jumping motorcycles into helicopters. I think that's a very real feeling with people, that part of why Die Hard is such an amazing movie is because in many ways, John McClane is just a dude. Right? He's not a RoboCop. He's not a super cop. Just a really good, dang good cop. But I think he got more superhuman as the series went on, and that I think got, especially the newer ones, like what was A Good Day to Die Hard and Live Free or Die Hard. Some people got out on that one. I would say for me, love the first Die Hard. Everyone after that, I was just my opinion. But Die Hard's in there. And then Raphael says Godfather. So I said in series that have more than a trilogy. But we can open it up. Let's talk about The Godfather. Did you like, Raphael, did you like Godfather 2? Did you really like Godfather 2? I think a lot of people didn't. DJ came in and he submitted the Oceans series to the mix. So Oceans 11, 12, and 13. So that's 3. I didn't ask him. He's probably listening. DJ, if you're listening, are you counting the one with the all-female cast? I haven't seen that one. Oceans 8? Is that what that's called? Never saw that one. But it was just the 3 with Clooney and Pitt. I think all 3 of those were good. So Raphael says he thought 2 was better. Love 2. All right. No wrong answers here. I'm just legitimately curious because it was quite the conversation between me and my sons after we watched Mission Impossible. And how many? Because you think of so many movie franchises, like there are some, like here's another one. We saw a trailer for the new Jurassic Park movie. Jurassic Park had misses along the way. I'm not so down on the newer ones, the ones that Chris Pratt is in. I mean, they're not nearly as good, but I think like Jurassic Park, after the first one went down, and then the newer ones with Chris Pratt are fine. And then they have the new one coming out with Scarlett Johansson. So I'll continue to take your thoughts on that. Movie franchises that you felt from beginning to end, they didn't miss. We all have our favorites. There are superior movies in a franchise, but which franchise did you think every single one I liked? 719-247-1313. The Olympic rosters, in part, have been announced. They're doing this thing where the first 6, but for most countries, I don't think we're going to know outside of the 6 who these people are. So for some of these countries, like the 6 that they put out, like that's like Germany, I ran out of steam as I was looking at all 6. I'm like, I don't know that I know these last. I'm not familiar with these last couple of guys. So the first 6 for all of these Olympic hockey teams have been announced, and plenty of there's the Avs of it all, and then there's Team USA, of course. USA and Canada have so much depth that just putting out 6, it's like, okay, yeah, obviously these guys, but who beyond that? Like with Team USA, I think certainly the last couple of spots are going to be interesting, as they always are. But I'm more curious when the Olympics roll around, are we going to see Connor Hellebuck or Jake Ottinger in goal? Because there's been some debate over the postseason about that. But people don't forget, like Connor Hellebuck was pretty dang good in the 4 Nations. So apparently international competition lies somewhere in a region. It's not quite the regular season where Connor Hellebuck is the best goalie on planet Earth, but it's also not playoff Connor Hellebuck, which is bad. The 4 Nations was like closer to good Connor. But there was that debate. You go Connor Hellebuck, you go Jake Ottinger. I think you go Hellebuck, but that will certainly be one of the questions going into the Olympics. Who's going to get the nod in goal? The 6 for Team USA, and I apologize, I should have put it in front of me, but you have the Tkachuk brothers, the Bash brothers, of course, Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel, and Quinn Hughes, right? Tkachuk brothers, Eichel, Matthews, Quinn Hughes. I'm missing one. I'll get it right here in a moment. But the Avs, it's funny if you're an Avs fan, what goes on with it's McAvoy. Yeah, that dude, we need what he did in the 4 Nations. That dude needs to be on the Olympic roster. That dude risked everything to play for Team USA. It almost cost him. Or, I mean, it did cost him, but I mean, it could have, like, career cost him with what happened with the shoulder and everything. McAvoy was the other one. But if you're an Avs fan, Team USA doesn't really pique your interest. I mean, I would assume that you're a fan of both, but no Avs getting on to Team USA. Team Canada, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar are both on there. Taves, I would imagine, makes his way onto the Olympic team, but he's not one of the first 6. Makar, there was some questions because of the trial that's going on with the Canadian junior hockey players. That's a really ugly situation that's going on there, and they had suspended all of those players and said that there was a thought that maybe they wouldn't be able to play in the Olympics. Cale Makar wouldn't be able to play in the Olympics, but I think Cale has maintained through all of that he wasn't involved in all of that kind of stuff. So apparently this is kind of a nod that he wasn't, which is good for a totally different reason. But Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon both announced for Team Canada. Marty Necas has been announced, representing, what do we call it now? Czechia? That's what their team is called. It's just Czech Republic. It's not Czech Republic anymore. And then here's the interesting one. Gabriel Landeskog has been announced as one of the first 6 for Team Sweden. So Gabriel Landeskog, like, let me think back. Gosh, how these playoffs have gone on forever. So my timeline is a little messed up. But you think about game 82 in April, right? Gabriel Landeskog had not stepped foot on the ice of a competitive hockey game yet. Or I lie, he was in Loveland. Had not made his way back to the NHL ice yet, right? That wasn't that long ago. And now he's back with the Avs. Looked great in the Star Series. Now he's being chosen for his country's Olympic team for next year. Right? We were doing this year-to-year thing. Will Gabriel Landeskog ever come back? And now it's like Gabriel Landeskog's hockey plans for the next year are sewn up. He's expected to be around. And it just adds to the story that is Gabriel Landeskog that somehow did not win. I think it's the Masterson Trophy, right, for resilience. I'm not going to, push back too much against Monahan, who won it, because obviously with what happened with the Gaudreaus and stuff, I mean, you can't hate on that. Like, it's just a different kind of resilience and everything that trophy has tied to it. But Gabriel Landeskog, for essentially the comeback player of the year, that would have been the trophy for him, and he didn't win it, which was kind of weird. But given the circumstances, that's okay. I'll let that one go. I'm certainly not going to be bent out of shape about it like I am for the Hart Trophy or if Cale didn't win the Norris Trophy. But just remarkable that now it's like, yep, of course, Gabriel. Like, that's the thing too. It's not just that that he's being announced. It's that it's so set in, like, of course, Gabriel Landeskog is going to play in the Olympics. And it's like, wait a minute, like 3 months ago, we didn't know if this guy would ever play hockey again. Like, we still weren't 100% sure. And anybody that told you differently is lying to you. Like, we didn't know for sure. How many times was Gabriel Landeskog to some point of his rehab, and then he took a step back, and then we didn't hear from him again? And he had to, like Sisyphus, push the boulder up the mountain again. I think I'm getting my mythology correct, aren't I? But now it's like, well, of course he's going to play in the Olympics. Of course he's going to be in the top 6 for the Avs. Like, that's done. Like, of course. Why would you even doubt it? Well, because it wasn't that long ago that we didn't know that this guy would ever play hockey at its highest level ever again. So, but yeah, so Cale, McKinnon, Landeskog, Necas are all for sure going to be on their respective countries' Olympic team. The first 6 for Team USA will be Austin Matthews, Charlie McAvoy, Quinn Hughes, Jack Eichel, and the Kachuk brothers. Some people are wondering why Connor Hellebuck wasn't announced just because he's the MVP. I didn't see a lot of goalies. Did I miss that? I thought it was all defensemen and forwards that got announced. I mean, Connor Hellebuck's going to be there. Like, come on. This is a hype building announcement. This is not a. It's only 6 guys. Like, there's no doubt that Connor Hellebuck is. It's Hellebuck and it's Ottinger. I don't think that was intentional by Bill Guerin to leave him out. But you know how people get. Well, he's the MVP. Why shouldn't he be? I don't know. They're doing all forwards and defensemen. And it's 6 guys. You don't think he's going to be on the team? Of course he's going to be on the team. Take your thoughts. 719-247-1313. This weekend, even into today, has also been about some big comebacks. Not like a comeback like Oklahoma City in, game 4 of the NBA Finals, like an athlete coming back to save their sport. We had one of them on Saturday and one just announced today. That's next here on Extra Sports 1300. City Golf COS is Colorado Springs' premier indoor golfing destination with 4 state-of-the-art simulators featuring any course in the world you could possibly have ever wanted to play. Try out City Golf COS with our extra sweet deal of the week. You get an hour of play for $25. That's half price. Get yours now at extrasports1300.com. Aaron called in during the break. Let me know that he was on the verge of buying a Rafael Devers Red Sox jersey this weekend. That is for a sports fan, that is a near-death experience. That is like, I have a closet full of jerseys that turned out to be terrible investments. So much so that I kind of lean into it. I don't wear jerseys, but I want to find those obscure ones. They're like, oh, I remember when this guy played for it could be because they were like, I'd like a Jermaine Dye Rockies jersey. Remember when he was like a Rocky for a day and then they immediately moved him? Or like Mike Piazza when he stopped over in Florida for a minute, like those kind of jerseys. But also the ones like, I almost feel like now I would have to get a Luka Mavs jersey just to kind of, always have that reminder of what happened. Which that was brought up over the weekend. As you might imagine, Desmond Bane went for 4 first-round picks. How many first-round picks did Dallas get for Luka? Not 4. Talk more about the Bane trade at the top of the hour. But Aaron said that he almost bought a Devers jersey, and then Devers got traded. Got traded to the Giants. In maybe baseball's version of the Luka trade. But I'm glad for him that he dodged that bullet. Because there's nothing worse as a sports fan. You're going to buy a jersey and then either you buy the jersey, because that's what's worse. You buy it. It's a bad feeling when you're about to buy it and the guy that you want to buy it because you're a fan of his gets traded. That's a bad feeling. But buying the jersey, and think about it, even if he bought it, let's say a day before Devers got traded, like now he'd be waiting 3 to 5 business days to get the jersey that now he'll never wear because he's not in the Red Sox anymore. So Aaron just missed that one. Good. Now he can take that. We were talking. He said he wanted to buy a Big Papi jersey. I'm like, just any more. Just spend a few extra bucks and get the throwback. Or be weird like me and want to collect jerseys of all these weird stories and stuff because you're weird like I am. I think one jersey that would be probably okay to buy and you'd get some miles out of it if you bought like a Caitlin Clark jersey. I think you're okay. I don't think she's going anywhere. So she is out for a couple of weeks with an injury. People, half of the audience of the WNBA tunes out. Gone. Just like that. Poof. She comes back on Saturday. And it's the highest rated WNBA game ever. Ever. For Caitlin Clark's return from injury. It's not even her debut. Like we've seen Caitlin Clark. This is how much the public missed her. Is that they came back and then some. So the 55% of the audience that tuned out when Caitlin Clark got hurt tuned back in, and then they got more on top of that. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like her in sports right now. Somebody that holds the fate of their league in the palm of her hand, like Caitlin Clark does. It's remarkable. And by the way, she was remarkable. Like she never left. You're just pulling up to the logo, bang. Next time down the court, stops at the logo, bang again. And all Indiana did, who had been struggling, as you might imagine, without her, all they do is knock off the reigning champions who just so happen to be undefeated going into that game. That was nuts. But that's not the only athlete that means so much to their sport that is making their comeback. And no, I'm not talking about Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher, although he is starting tonight. He is opening tonight. Important distinction. So get there early, Dodger fans. You're not going to see Ohtani for very long. But he's going to open the game tonight because, of course, that was kind of the part that maybe you forgot about, is that the Dodgers have only had Shohei Ohtani, the hitter, up until this point, and now they're going to have Shohei Ohtani in all his resplendent glory as both a hitter and a pitcher starting tonight. But that's not what I'm talking about, although that is a welcome sign because he's already must-watch television, and now if he's going to be pitching too. It's the announcement made by friend of the program, Joey Chestnut. Whatever beef, get it, he had with the Nathan's hot dog eating competition folks, that has been squashed. And on July 4th, I am happy to report that Joey Jaws will be at Coney Island, putting away as many glizzies as he possibly can. Took to social media today, said he's going to be competing this year. And you want to talk about somebody who is almost completely by themselves responsible for the popularity and viewership of their league, their sport, their activity. Joey Chestnut with the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Remember last year, like he did a pay-per-view or a Netflix thing because he had a problem. What was this all about again? A sponsor? Oh, I remember. He wanted to eat vegetarian hot dogs, like tofu dogs, wasn't it? That's what this was all about. Or was he just, no, he wasn't going to eat the hot dog. He was going to be sponsored by them. I don't remember. But it was over something that, like that. He either wanted to eat the vegetarian hot dogs or he was going to be sponsored by the vegetarian hot dogs, and the real hot dog people were not pleased about it. And across the country, our most hallowed holiday was completely ruined. Completely ruined. I don't know if I even observed the 4th of July without Joey Chestnut at Coney Island. I don't know about you. This is the part where I add the disclaimer. I very much acknowledge 4th of July. Please don't come at me. My experience on the 4th of July was unchanged with the absence of Joey Chestnut. Please don't come back at me for being not patriotic. But all is right with the world. Caitlin Clark is back. Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher, is back. Joey Chestnut is back. And by extension, America is back. Don't you think? Isn't that what this all adds up to? Man, Caitlin Clark was so good on Saturday. I can't even tell you. Hopefully you watched it. Like she never left. Also want to throw back in, as the audience churns, throw back in our unofficial question of the day. which movie franchise did not miss at all? No, no one that you would, if you were to tell somebody to watch a movie franchise, you would give them a movie franchise and you say you watched it the whole way through and you will not be disappointed at all. Not one. Mission Impossible, after this weekend when I saw the newest one, is on that list for me. Tom Cruise did not miss. Not once. All of them were good. John Wick, pending my soon, hopefully soon, viewing of Ballerina. And then Avengers, pending Doomsday in, I think, 3.5 decades. I think that's when the movie's going to come out. Those are the three I had. We had other ones thrown out. Godfather, which is a trilogy, but we'll allow it. Die Hard, Hobbit / Lord of the Rings, Matrix. No mention of Star Wars. Maybe the most famous movie franchise ever. Which, if you ask my 12-year-old son, it is right that we are omitting it. Because in his words, and I'm quoting here, I'm not a Star Wars aficionado, Disney ruined Star Wars. Oh, and then DJ Michaels reminding me. I mentioned it earlier, DJ. Oceans. Again, but that was a trilogy. Are you throwing in the, and I asked earlier because you weren't listening, how dare you, that Ocean's 8. Did you see Ocean's 8? Didn't have Pitt and Clooney and all that, but wouldn't that count towards it? So I need your verdict on that. DJ says he loved it. All right. Ocean series stands. Jurassic Park wouldn't be on there. Star Wars wouldn't be on there, but I'm not the right person to ask about Star Wars. Trying to think of. Oh, I mentioned this. Rocky 5. Skip. So that Rocky is disqualified. I mean, it's amazing that they made as many Rocky movies as they did, and they only missed once. But they did. It was Rocky 5. Fast and Furious. Half of those movies are trash. So that would not qualify as either. Raphael coming in and saying, oh, there are four Godfather movies. What am I thinking? Thank you for the correction. Say like 2 because of the backstory of Vito. 3 is not so good, and I haven't seen 4. We'll see. Now, can we include the Godfather, though? And you're never bothering, Raphael. Text back anytime. Predator. Including Alien versus Predator? And for that matter, would Aliens be on there? Predator. I have to think about that one, but I think you might be right. I'm noticing a trend here, and I know that action movies normally are the ones that become franchises. But you notice that the ones that are good are the action movies. Again, not Fast and Furious because, but the other ones, all action movies. I'll just tell you again, the new Mission Impossible, 2 hours and 40 minutes flew by. Gripping the whole time. It's great. Take your thoughts on that. 719-247. 1313 coming up next. We'll hit the 3 stories that are driving the show here on Extra Sports 1300. Hello there. Welcome into this Monday edition of the show, which is remarkably similar to versions Tuesday through Friday, hopefully of the highest quality. Appreciate you consuming the show, whether you're listening on air, online, or through the Extra Sports 1300 app, or if you're watching the show on our social media platforms at Extra Sports 1300. If you would like to participate in this show, we got kind of a fun question of the day based on what I did this weekend. Saw the new Mission Impossible movie. What movie franchise went the entirety of its existence without missing once, without one bad movie? I think Mission Impossible is on that list. Take your thoughts at 719-247-1313. We're also talking sports, like right now with the three stories that are driving the show. All right, we start with I could have made this. Here's story number one. Golf Channel with the call. JJ Spawn, you know JJ Spawn. You're familiar with his game. He just thinks 64-foot putt. I love that call, by the way, from Golf Channel because that's what we were all thinking. Just two putt and win it. When did we last hear that? Oh, it was in a golf movie called Happy Gilmore. Just two putt and we'll go. No, I'm going to win it here. Unreal. And by the way, after he played an unreal shot on 17. And I think JJ Spawn's U.S. Open kind of falls right in line with much of the conversation surrounding the NBA Finals. Like, if you say that you love a sport, but your viewership is determined by the biggest names of that sport competing, you're going to miss out on some epic sports theater. There wasn't anyone that most people had heard of in maybe Victor Hovland, but even then, I would say that you're a pretty big golf fan if you're familiar with Victor Hovland. Not many of the big names were a factor on Sunday. And I'm sure that got a lot of people to say, I'm going to do something else on my Sunday. Man, shouldn't they be kicking themselves right now? Because that was unbelievable. And you just take his entire round. I mean, JJ Spawn put up the same front nine score on Sunday as I did on Saturday, which for me, that means I'm at the height of my powers. For him, that's bad. And yet, he comes back and finishes off the U.S. Open in that way. I don't love the fact that Oakmont just ruined some of the best golfers in the world. I don't love that aspect of the U.S. Open. I just don't. But I love the way that golf tournament finished. If you can't watch the NBA finals because it's OKC in Indiana, if you can't watch the final round of our country's golf championship because some dude named JJ Spawn is at the top of the leaderboard, you're gonna miss out. Fine if you don't, right? We all have our different reasons, but man, I'm just speaking from a personal standpoint. I am sure glad that it did not deter me, and it almost did. I was like, yeah, I don't think, and then I did, and then it made my Sunday phenomenal finish. And what a story JJ Spawn. Like how many Wyndham Clark, I think was a similar story. Like, and these guys exist throughout the tour. Like you think about what it takes to be a golfer on the PGA Tour. Like I can't string together 2 solid weekends of golf, and these guys have to compete with the best in the world for 9 months or whatever it is. And if they don't, they're done. And the amount of time it takes them and the investment and everything. JJ Spahn reminded me of Wyndham Clark. Like he was up there saying, like, yeah, I was about done. I was gonna call it good. Gave it my best shot. And he's like, you know what? One more. I'm gonna give it one more shot. I'm gonna lean in even more, and I'm gonna try and get everything out of my golf career that I can. And now he's the champion of the USA. Just phenomenal stuff from JJ Scott. Story number 2 today is a significant first trade in the NBA offseason. Desmond Bain. Oh, hey, Paul Skeens and Limpy Dunn are at the College World Series. Just watching on TV. Desmond Bain going from Memphis to Orlando. And the headline is Memphis gets 4 first-round picks. And you see that, as I did on social media, and you go, Desmond Bain for 4 first-round picks? What? And my initial reaction was the Nuggets need to get on the horn and trade Michael Porter and Jamal Murray now. If Desmond Bain is going for 4, the Nuggets can at least get a pair of first-round picks for these guys. But then more reporting came out from Brian Windhorst to say that, yes, Bain went for multiple first-round picks, but also Orlando had to cough up some more draft capital, so Memphis would take the contract of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And therein lies the more interesting aspect of this deal to me. Love the deal for Orlando, but the KCP part of this is interesting to me because now we're at 2 Nuggets who won a title playing with Nikola Jokic, a player unlike we've ever seen in the history of basketball. They used that to cash in, and almost immediately the teams that paid regretted it. Indiana moved Bruce Brown for Pascal Siakam, and now Orlando, after 1 year of KCP's, paying Memphis at least 1 first-round pick to just take him off of their hands. Maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Maybe that's the big takeaway. The cash is, and it's more plentiful. Maybe, you got a good thing going playing with Nikola Jokic. Maybe you should just stay and not take every dollar that is offered to you. But in a more serious way, because no NBA player is ever going to follow my suggestion. This idea of maybe overvaluing a player because they're playing with Nikola Jokic. It's starting to become a thing. Watch Russell Westbrook this year. If he stays in the NBA, which he could go overseas, but if he stays in the NBA, watch him. He will not be what he was this year for the Nuggets. Guarantee it. Everything that you loved about Russell Westbrook, or everything that anyone loved about Russell Westbrook this season, was directly attributable to Nikola Jokic. And whatever team signs Russell Westbrook is going to realize this too. But also, the Nuggets have fallen victim to this phenomenon. They should know better than anybody. But yet they have overspent on some of their guys, have they not? Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, how are those contracts aging? The one team that should know the Nikola Jokic effect better than anyone and be a little hesitant about paying these guys should be the Denver Nuggets. And yet, they've overpaid. Now, in fairness, different financial system. It was just all well and dandy when Jamal Murray signed his last extension before this one. I wasn't a huge fan of him signing this extension. And I was on board with signing Michael Porter. So I'm not going to say or play revisionist history. But what I can say is that moving forward, the Nuggets have an opportunity to break the cycle. And unfortunately, for one player in particular, it's Christian Brown. If he's going to truly maximize his value, which some are saying is $30 million, the Denver Nuggets should want no part of that contract. Or else I promise you it's going to look like Jamal Murray's, it's going to look like Michael Porter. Not because Christian Brown is going to fall off a cliff in terms of his production like a Bruce Brown or KCP did when they moved on. But because you're going to be hamstrung, right? You're not going to be able to make moves around your core like you're dealing with right now. So why would you take, one, you have to be a little hesitant on guys that look really good playing next to Nikola Jokic, but there's an added meaning for the Denver Nuggets because right now they should be open for business for all these veterans who want to come in and cash out like Bruce Brown and KCP have done. But they can't bring any of these guys in because they themselves have overrated players playing next to Nikola Jokic so much so that they have no cap flexibility. So the way that the Nuggets can kind of break this cycle moving forward is do not pay Christian Brown top of market value. Understand that playing next to Nikola Jokic, you can find another Christian Brown. And the flexibility that you would get by making that decision would allow you to make a deeper roster, to have more flexibility. Maybe you make a move one day in the future for a star player that you know for a fact is really good even without Nikola Jokic. But a trend or a phenomenon is kind of starting around the NBA, and I wonder how quickly teams are going to catch up to say, if he's playing with Nikola Jokic, his production is going to be a little inflated. We may want to pump the brakes on being the highest bidder. Bruce Brown, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, soon to be Russell Westbrook. Story number 3 is the first 6 players have been announced for every Olympic hockey team. Of course, there's 2 prongs to this story. Team USA has revealed, not surprisingly, that it will be the Chuck brothers, it will be Quinn Hughes, it will be Austin Matthews, it will be Jack Eichel, and it will be Charlie McAvoy. But plenty of Avalanche players have also been tabbed to represent their countries in Italy, including Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar, both among the first 6 players announced for Team Canada. Marty Necas is going to be playing for his country, Czechia, this winter, and Gabriel Landeskog, one of the first six players named to Team Sweden, which is remarkable when it wasn't that long ago that there was a little bit of doubt that Gabriel Landeskog would ever play hockey again. And now this news is being received like, of course, Gabriel Landeskog's going to play in the Olympics. Well, it wasn't going to be that way. But it just speaks to how remarkable his comeback is. That now Team Sweden's like, heck yeah, we're gonna. Did you see him in the Star Series? Of course we want him in. And this also means that you could put away any worry that heartfelt Instagram post a few weeks ago for Gabriel Landeskog meant that he was retiring. Nope. He's going to play for the Avs. He's going to play for Team Sweden. And it's not for today, but how you feel about that? You don't even know what the Avs are going to do to protect Gabriel Landeskog as he plays his first full season, and he's also going to play internationally. That'll be interesting. But good on him. And if he does end up playing in Italy, what a thrill that's going to be. And just further cementing of, yeah, all this was worth it. This grueling rehab to try and make my way back. And now I can help England and understand the cup, and I can help my country win a gold medal. 719-247-1313. Take your thoughts on the three stories that are driving the show. There's another thing I want to before I take a break. If you are of a certain age, they say 40 and up, PRT, testosterone replacement therapy, may be something that would do you a world of good. But I'm here to tell you that you don't want to waste time and money with low quality online PRT that charges you over $100 just to start. Because they just want to get the money from you. With Low T Center, they want to help. They give you a free consultation and a free to get started. Because think about it. You don't know. You don't know for sure if you need this therapy. You want to test and see, and then, okay, now I'm willing to invest. And with the freedom to choose if you want in-center care or at-home treatment, you're in control of your health. And right now, if you're looking to lose weight, you can also get a free B12 shot when you start prescription treatment. Offer is limited. You can book now at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Rockies up 2-0, if anyone cares. I do want to make this not a correction, but a point of clarification. Because I said that JJ Spawn shooting a 40. When I shoot a 40, that's me on top of my game. He shot a 40 on the front nine. On Sunday, I shot a 40 on the front nine. On Saturday, let me be clear. I thought it was understood that I was not talking about golfing at Oakmont. I did not golf at Oakmont. I did not put up a 40 on the front nine at Oakmont. Albert texting in, no, I did not shoot a 40 at Oakmont. I shot a 40 at the putt-putt course that's just right around the corner from where I work here. That's where I shot a 40 on the front nine. And that's me being on my game. So just in case I misled anybody else, I was not golfing at Oakmont on Saturday. I turned them down. They offered and they're like, we'll give you a special exemption for the weekend. You don't even have to make the cut. We'll just place you into the field. And I said, no, I can't. I got things to do. But it just adds to how remarkable the comeback was from JJ Spawn with that. By professional golf standards, did not start the day very well. Ended the day about as good as you could. Some more submissions for our question of the day. I'm just curious because my sons and I were talking about this over the weekend. Saw Mission Impossible. It was amazing. It's great. All of those movies are great. How many movie franchises did not miss? We have Matrix. We have a couple of votes for Die Hard. Oceans series. Godfather. New one coming in. Lethal Weapon. Predator. Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. What else we got? I think that was all of them. Oceans, it's incomplete because I haven't seen the one with with Sandra Bullock in that one, Cate Blanchett. I haven't seen that one. Die Hard. I'm not. Oh, a lot of these, like I'm in on the first one, and then I'm kind of done. So Lethal Weapon would be that same way for me. Godfather. I saw the Lord of the Rings, and I think they're all good. The Hobbit, I can't speak to because I haven't seen it. Predator, upon further review, I wouldn't say that I enjoyed every single Predator movie. But in fairness, like nobody has texted in and said, Ryan, you're absolutely right about Mission Impossible and John Wick. So the only series that I have gotten a text of somebody suggesting it and then somebody else coming in and either saying the same one or saying I agree with that one is Die Hard. We have gotten no repeat votes for any of these. But if you're just tuning in and want to weigh in on that subject, please feel free. Because I'm getting a list together. My list is staying the same. I haven't been moved. Upon further review, Jason, I have decided that because of the last installment of The Matrix, I cannot include The Matrix. The trilogy, great. And that's another thing, too. And we're going to see this. It's not a series, but with Happy Gilmore, I have such low expectations for that. I have a feeling it's going to be terrible. And I don't know if I should watch. Because Happy Gilmore is one of the best movies ever. And if I watch this other one and it's not, it might ruin it. You know what that's like? Dumb and Dumber. Have you seen the second Dumb and Dumber? Forget about the prequel to Dumb and Dumber. Have you seen the second one? It's terrible. I can't bear that. Dumb and Dumber was already ruined, and it was one of my favorite movies. Yeah, but it's the length of time. If it takes years and years and years, it kind of tells me if you're not consistently putting out movies in the franchise and you wait a long time before you release the second one or the third one, or I'm probably not going to like it. That's been the case quite a bit. It's been a while since John Wick had one, right? I mean, the fourth one came out a while ago, didn't it? But again, I think with the good job done by casting for Ballerina, I probably think that I'll enjoy that movie. How about every Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? I love that. Did Arnold Schwarzenegger miss? Yes, he missed. Have you seen Junior? The man was pregnant. Junior was a big miss from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Last Action Hero. No. So Arnold Schwarzenegger did miss. How about Terminator, though? Would Terminator hold up? First one, good. Second one, amazing. I don't think I've seen the latest installment of Terminator, so I can't speak on that. But I don't know. Arnold Schwarzenegger had some misses. Top Gun. But that's only two. Right? Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. So that doesn't qualify. Here's a good question. Has Tom Cruise, based off the last texter about Arnold Schwarzenegger, has Tom Cruise missed? Have you seen a bad Tom Cruise movie? I'm not trying to lead the witness here. I have not seen every Tom Cruise movie, but every Tom Cruise movie I've seen, I've liked. Anybody see was it Night and Day? Whereas with Cameron Diaz, anybody see that movie? I never saw it. But you think with Tom Cruise, you have Top Gun, Days of Thunder, Cocktail, all the Mission Impossible movies, Jack Reacher, Edge of Tomorrow is. I will go to my grave saying Edge of Tomorrow is one of the most underrated movies ever made. It is so good. I'm sure Tom Cruise missed. Eyes Wide Shut. Anybody want to weigh in on that piece of cinema? I would say that was, I don't know if I would put that movie up as a great movie. So Tom Cruise has missed, just not with the Mission Impossible. Oh, yeah, I got a second vote for John Wick. Yeah. So John Wick and Die Hard, kind of similar movies in some ways, I guess. Tom says Venom and every James Bond film. The last Venom, I thought was terrible. I thought the last Venom was terrible. The Carnage one, pretty good. Teetering. But I'll give, because I like Tom Hardy, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. The third one I didn't like. James Bond, that's interesting because that's a lot of movies. So you talking Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig. You're talking all the way through that, or are you just going to take Daniel Craig's James Bonds? Because I think Daniel Craig's James Bonds are the only give you the best chance of holding, and Sean Connery would as well. All of them, or just one specific actor's James Bond? Because I loved GoldenEye, and I know a lot of people didn't like GoldenEye. And the Die Another Day, a lot of people didn't like Die Another Day, and whenever I think of that movie, I just think of Halle Berry. I don't remember another scene from that movie, so I can't tell you if I actually like that movie. Tom says, besides Pierce Brosnan, every James Bond. I don't think I saw Timothy Dalton's once. Saw Roger Moore, Sean Connery, Daniel Craig. I think Daniel Craig, all of them were good. Oh, Tom says Spider-Man. Well, my boys and I were talking about this one. Funny enough, you mentioned Venom earlier. The third Spider-Man of Tobey Maguire. With Sandman? I don't think so. 2 with Andrew Garfield, I think, are better than people give him credit for. I think Tom Holland's ones have been great. Spider-Man 3 with the Tobey Maguire would disqualify it. How about Batman, though? Has Batman missed? Yes. Now that I'm saying it, Batman and Robin, the one with Clooney. Yep, that missed. But all of Christopher Nolan's Batmans were awesome. I like the Batman with Robert Pattinson. And the Michael Keaton Batman movies I loved. And I love Batman Forever. And I'm not afraid to say that. DJ texted in and said Minority Report for Tom Cruise wasn't good. I thought that one was good. That was the one where they knew that people were going to commit crimes before. Did Bruce Willis have any misses? Yes, because I didn't like some of the diehards. Just right off the top. But he's been, Bruce Willis. He's been in so many movies. Bruce Willis has to have. How about Will Smith? He's going, the viral video going around that apparently he passed on, was it Inception? That he passed on? He passed on like a few huge movies. Did Will Smith miss it all? I liked Hitch. Independence Day. That was another one that they made Independence Day well after the fact. And it wasn't good. I have to ponder that. The actors that haven't missed, I think they've all missed. I think they've all missed because at some point an actor is going to take on a movie just for the payday, and then it's going to be terrible. Jim Carrey, same way. Love Jim Carrey. I'll put his collection up against most actors. There were misses in there. Absolutely. 719-247-1313. Take a break, come back, and we'll talk more. Starting tomorrow, I'll be giving away tickets to the U.S. Senior Open. Going to be doing the show out there next week as well, doing a lot with the U.S. Senior Open. And the way that the U.S. Open ended, very excited about what is to come to the Broadmoor next week. So be listening for that. Let's put a bow on our conversation that we've been having, sports adjacent today. The movie franchises that did not miss, and now it's kind of evolved into what actors didn't miss. Tom adds Avengers. Avengers was on my original list. I forgot to mention that. My three were Mission Impossible, John Wick, and Avengers. And that's four, but then they have a new one coming out in a couple of years, and I fear the worst. As far as actors go, from the 719, did Tom Hanks miss? Yes. Not all the Toy Stories were good. And that's another thing, too. Animated movies miss all the time. And now Disney keeps missing because they do the live-action remakes. Not good. None of them are good. And you may say, Ryan, you're not the target demo. And I say, I don't care. I'm going to have an opinion. Tom Hanks live action, did he miss? Do people like You've Got Mail? I never saw that one. That would be my question. But if we're counting the Toy Stories, yes, because the Toy Stories got progressively worse as they went along. Morgan Freeman, yeah, wasn't he in the sequel to Bruce Almighty with Steve Carell? That movie was terrible. And Morgan Freeman, it has a bit part in a lot. Like it's almost like asking about Samuel L. Jackson because he appears in so many movies, it seems, that he's bound to be in a bad one. The boys and I watched the sequel to Now You See Me that he's in. It was good. Not as good as the first one, but it was solid. Kevin Costner, another one, actor. I'll say this. Kevin Costner, when it comes to sports movies, did not miss. Field of Dreams, Bull Durham. What was the one For the Love of the Game? That was good. It's a different vibe with this sports movie. You watch that one with your significant other, right? But I thought I was good with it. And Draft Day, I don't care what anyone says. I love that movie. Love Draft Day. I can't speak to Kevin Costner in the Westerns because I'm not a fan of the genre. So, what are all those? Oh, no. I don't even have to go down that road. Waterworld. Kevin Costner missed. Waterworld. Forgot that one. And I guess Kevin Costner, he was in a couple of Westerns. I probably just think because Yellowstone, he's in more Westerns than he is. He was in a few. But as sports, Kevin Costner did not miss. Every single, in Tin Cup, yeah. Every single Kevin Costner sports movie is good. Tom says Kill Bill only 2, though. Yeah, both Kill Bills were good. First one was better than the second one, but no, that was good. But that was only 2. And they came out right after one another, and that's part of my movie theory as well. If you're waiting 10 years down the road, it's probably not going to be good. Ooh, got a couple more in here. All right. Ben Stiller. I didn't like Meet the Parents as it went along. I think Meet the Parents was great. I can't speak for the other ones. And Zoolander 1, hilarious. I watched that with the boys the other night. They'd never seen it. Second one, I have not seen it. I hear it's awful. But Ben Stiller, Secret Life of Walter Mitty is a phenomenal movie. Along Came Polly, thanks to Philip Seymour Hoffman, good. I like this one, though. Denzel Washington. Did Denzel Washington miss? I know we were talking about franchises. Equalizer only had 3. All good. Denzel might not have missed. Bone Collector, Fallen. Yeah, Denzel Washington might not have missed. I have to look more into that. What am I waiting for? I can do it right now. I wish I had voice to text on my computer. It would be much easier. Let's see. Let's look at Denzel Washington here. Yeah, Training Day, Malcolm X, great. John Q, phenomenal. Flight was great. American Gangster, love that. Oh, I haven't seen Gladiator 2. Is that good? Have not seen that one because of my rule about waiting so long for a second one. First Gladiator was amazing. Worried about the second one. Man on Fire was phenomenal. Denzel Washington with A Grudge, which I fully understand is pretty much every movie he's in. Great. But he had Safe House with Ryan Reynolds. That one was not met with as much acclaim, but I thought that was really good. The Magnificent Seven. I'm not a Westerns guy. Love that one. But then you got to go back. Mighty Quinn, Mo Better Blues. Before he was big, did he miss there as he was coming up? He Got Game, he didn't miss. But I think actors miss. I do, because they go for the money grab. That's why Denzel Washington might hold up, because he's integrity moves. Only takes good movies. I have to look more into his. I'm sure I've missed a couple, though. Like I just said, Gladiator 2, I didn't see. Good conversation. I have to think of some. I have to talk to my kids as my producers to see what conversation they think I should have on this show, or take whatever conversation I have with them tonight and then bring it to the show tomorrow. Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Pacers got to get this one right. Like, that goes without saying. Got to win this one. Tomorrow night, Stanley Cup Final. Will Florida close this one out? So a significant week of sports certainly coming up. And we didn't spend a lot of time on the Devers trade. I think it's not irony, the coincidence of that franchise doing this again. Now, Devers isn't Mookie Betts. Okay, there are levels to this. But once again, moving off of a great player, and I think they got back more for Mookie Betts than they did Devers. And another team in the NL West gets even richer, while the Rockies are the Rockies. I had this suggestion earlier. From this, Dave said, I like to propose a subscription service for jerseys. One jersey for each season for whatever sport you enjoy, as well as a 60-day replacement for players who get traded, discounts on all jerseys over your one allotted per sport. I am not a shark. I can offer you no dollars for 50% of your business. I think you're onto something. I know American Express did something where like you could protect it, but it was insurance. And that's the thing, right? Like you're paying more, you're going to pay more to protect your jersey. And what Dave is saying, the altruistic way is just, no, you just get it and you're protected against it for Red Sox fans who had a Devers jersey, because who else are you going to buy on the Red Sox? I'm surprised no one has made that up yet. Probably not profitable would be my guess, right? Because how much players get moved, probably end up eating a lot of jerseys. It's a great idea. I think a lot of sports fans would love to have protection. I'm telling my closet is a graveyard of Nuggets jerseys. That could be another conversation. What's the jersey that aged the worst, or all the jerseys that you have that you can't even, if you were inclined to wear it, I think I got, and my dad always bought me jerseys. I mean, I'm Mello and Danny Fortson and Kenyon Martin and gosh, so many. Best one that I ever got was a Kiki Vandeweghe throwback, though. But yeah, just crazy. Devers getting traded like that. And for that, the return. Desmond Bain went for 4 first-round picks, and Devers is getting sold for a handful of magic beans, although still more than Nico got back for Luka Doncic. And on that note, want to tell you, don't waste time and money with low-quality online TRT that charges you over $100 just to start. Visit the TRT experts today at Low T Center. They'll set you up. They don't have any initial cash grab. Like they really want to help you if you need help. So they free consultation, free test, and then away you go after that. Treatment is personalized to your body, and most major insurance is accepted. And with the freedom to choose if you want in-center care or at-home treatment, you're in control of your health. And if you're looking to lose weight right now for a limited time, you can get a free B12 shot when you start prescription treatment. Book now at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Appreciate your patronage on this Monday. Great conversation, even if it was not quite in the realm of sports. This is a talk show, after all. We're talking. So we checked the box today. We had a conversation. So thank you for your interaction. Enjoy your evening, and we'll reconvene tomorrow at 3.